And we're back with some more Calgary Flames franchise mode in FHM 9. And in this one, we have the regular season of year number 9, which is about to get underway. Coming fresh off the Doug Elfring signing for $13.75 million a year for 5 seasons. That takes him till he's 33. And we better, all I can say is we better get a cup or two here within that time frame, because given that he's already 28 and a lot of our core, in fact, is in their prime right now, this is the time to win one more Stanley Cup. So with that, I think we'll go through this season, hopefully the entire season in this one. Last year was pretty smooth sailing. We had 57 wins in the regular season. Obviously, playoffs didn't work out how we wanted them to. We did have a few subtractions in Highs and Byram. They both retired, as well as some other minor guys like Tilly and Fascia and Stemkowski as well. But for the most part, this is almost the same roster. So I'd like to give this roster another chance here. And with that, let's get on with the simulation. Uh-oh, first major injury of the year, I believe. Yep, ruptured tendon for Igumenov, 2-3 months. Oh no. Creech again with a long-term injury. A fractured finger for 2 to 3 months. Creech can't catch a break. That's his second major injury in a row. Because last year he had that big injury. He only played 24 games. Oh man. He's missing a big chunk of this season as well. I mean, he'll be back by February probably, but that's rough. That's really rough. Wow, Dan Henderson in his first NHL season doing pretty well so far. 8 points in 15 games played. And what I'm really looking at, the 73 defensive grade. That's really nice. For a rookie forward like that, 19 years of age. Gotta keep an eye on him for sure. Oh boy, so we're on November 16th and we are 10, 11, and 1. We have been on quite a slide as of late. I believe that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 losses in a row. Not a single win so far in November, and we're already halfway through the month. Oh man, that's rough. We're gonna have to change that. I mean, injuries definitely have not helped to Igumenov and Creech, but still, they're far from our best players, so that's certainly no reason for us to be below 500. Let's take a look at what's going on here. So point-wise, Doug Elfring leading the way with 22 points in 22 games played. Grieve, Coronado, and Jacques with 14. 12 from Meehan and Pegamago. Really? Pegamago only with 12? When he's had nearly a point per game for the past 3 seasons, basically. That's a bit concerning. Portman with 10. Hedquist, Wright, and Muse also with 10. Antolovsky and Pare with 9. 8 for Henderson, so he's, in fact, I'm not sure if he's got a single point during this month. Lochner with 7, 6 for Mooney, 5 for Sheets, 4 for Yao and Hinton, 3 for Clark, and 2 for Shulhan in 2 games. Now let's check goaltender stats. Sorkvist in 15 games played with an 893, and Debut in 9 games played with an 891. Goaltender, man. Usually, when you had played Debut enough, towards the end of the season, he'll heat up. But it appears, for some reason, coaches go with Sorkvist more often than not, and he's doing basically just as terribly. So I'm not sure why he's playing Sorkvist over Debut. Coach, man, I need you to play Debut. He's proven in the past that he can get out of slides, but Sorkvist might be a different story. And the team stats, goals for per game, we are 10th in the league with a 3.27, and goals against per game, we are 18th in the league with a 3.23. Face-offs, we are 23rd in the league with a 48.9. Power play, we're 11th with a 21.4. Oh my goodness, Arizona with 41.7. Sheesh. I would imagine that comes down to earth at some point. But we're already on November 16th. There's been quite a few games so far. Yeah, that's 21 games for the Arizona Coyotes. So quarter of the season gone by, and they have power play that good. My goodness. And the penalty kill, ooh, yeah, that's a rough one. 74.1, 27th in the league. You don't like to see it. And that's probably as a result of our poor goaltending. Debut and Sorkvist, man, I don't know what to do. Because the thing about Debut is, like, he starts poorly every season. We've seen this in the past, and then he progressively gets better as the season goes on. Assuming he's allowed to get that time, but as of right now, he's only played 9 games out of a possible, what is it, 24? 22? Yeah, 22 games. So he's played less than half of our games so far. Coach, I don't know if that's the way to go. I don't think giving Sorkvist most of the ice is the way to go here. And honestly, that seems to be our biggest problem right now is goaltending. I mean, we could be doing a bit better scoring-wise as well, but right now it's not nearly as big of a problem as goaltending is. What do I have to do to fix the goaltending, man? I don't know. Like, do I need a different goaltender coach or something? I mean, Jason LaBarbera has great ratings for a goalie coach, great for coaching goalies, and great for coaching prospects. I mean, his player management's a little rough, but maybe get a goaltender coach with better discipline and motivation. I mean, it couldn't hurt to try at this point, because clearly past couple of seasons, something's been wrong with goaltending. So I'm going to find a goaltender coach with good player management, good motivation, and good discipline, or at least passable. I think I'll go with this guy, Brian Mahoney Wilson. He got 20 for coaching goaltenders and a 17 for coaching prospects, and his player management's at 14, motivation is at 13, discipline's at 12. So I see no reason why he shouldn't be a good replacement. We'll just sign him on right now and make him the goaltender coach. There you go. Are there any goaltenders in free agency? Not really. No, none I'm interested in. If we're acquiring any new goaltenders, it'd have to be through a trade. I don't know if there's any available. No, there's literally like 2 goaltenders available, and it's a 1-star and a 1.5 star. So there's not really much. There's not much out there. We're just going to have to roll with it, I think, for the time being. Either that or overpay for some 1B goaltender, possibly, but I don't know. I wouldn't feel comfortable making that kind of move at this point, because we do need to start, as I've mentioned before, rebuilding our prospects pool, because we don't really have too many quality prospects, unfortunately. Yeah, it's a rough situation. I don't think there's really much you can do except just hope for the best from the new goaltender coach, and hope that Mr. Zach Fitzgerald starts playing Debut a bit more, because he's clearly, in terms of ability, he's a much better goaltender. It's not like he isn't proven either. He's, in most seasons, besides 2 seasons ago, he's proven to be able to bounce back from having a rough start. So I don't think there's much to do in this situation. I think you just move ahead and hope for the best. So we'll go at least to the end of December and see where we're at that point. Oh no. No, don't tell me. Don't tell me. Looks like it's day to day. Okay, good. We're 18-2 on the Christmas break. We're December 25th, in fact. And we just can't seem to get anything going. I mean, honestly, we're lucky to be in 5th place, because Edmonton, they're sitting there in 8th with 37 points. And then Anaheim's in 3rd with 39. So almost this entire division, besides Seattle and LA, Seattle's way ahead of everybody right now. And then LA is sitting pretty comfortably, but literally everybody else, every other team in this division is awful. There's no excuse. There is no excuse for why we should be 18-2. That simply cannot happen. Point-wise, Elfring, he's doing most of the heavy lifting, it looks like. 42 points for him, 25 goals, 17 assists. Jacques with 27 is the next guy down. Oh man. Coronado with 26. Pegamagabo only with 25. He's having an off year for sure. Antolovsky with 23, 22 for Meehan, 20 for Fortman, Wright, and Glockner, 19 for Grieve, 17 for Muse, 14 for Henderson, 13 for Hedquist and Mooney, 11 for Pare, 9 for Sheets, 8 for Yao and Hinton, 5 for Clark and Shulhan, and 2 for Mirkanov. Now, what about in goal? That's the part I really care about. Debut. An 890 for Debut and an 899 for Sorkvist. Goaltending is killing us. It really is. We might have to overextend for a trade here. I might move Sorkvist and get a solid 1B to take over for Debut when he's in these slumps, because it's happening a little too often now. I mean, he's proven in the past that he could be solid for the most part, but for whatever reason this year, he's just not having it. So we might have to do something here if we want to salvage this season. Because we're still definitely contenders with how good this roster. I mean, there's no excuse for why this team shouldn't be contenders. And somehow we are barely squeaking by at 500. I mean, sure, the injuries to Gumanov and Creech were, they weren't ideal. But again, that's not any kind of situation that should be putting us in a spot like this. All right, you know what? I'm going to take a look at the goaltending situation for other teams, because sometimes they tend to, what I notice is that teams in this game will, actually not sometimes, often tend to hog goaltenders that are like really good. And I'm not even talking about a 3.5-star goaltender and a 3-star goaltender like what I'm aiming for right now. I'm talking about, I've seen teams with 5-star and 4-star goaltenders on the same team. It's not necessary. It's really not. So there's Knight and Zahichek for Florida. Knight's 36. I wonder. That might be a good trade, actually, for Spencer Knight. He's not on an extension. I could always try to get them to retain his cap. What's his numbers looking like? Yeah, it's not bad. 9, 12, and 11 games played. So he's their backup goaltender. So if I could get Spencer Knight on to potentially help out Mr. Debut. I mean, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Look at this. They got Matthews, Christian Matthews, a 20-year-old goaltender, 2.5-star ability, 3.5-star potential, sitting in the minors, all because they got Knight and Zahichek. So, yeah, I think this makes perfect sense. Let's try to get Spencer Knight here. What are they looking like for cap? They're in negative cap, so we're gonna have to send something back as far as cap goes. Sorquist, obviously. Wait, what? Excuse me? They will accept this offer? Sorquist for Spencer Knight? Straight up? I don't know. That seems a little unfair to me. Listen, the system is saying that they'll accept it. Probably. But that feels like way too much of a steal for me. I mean, even though Knight is 36, so he'll probably be retiring soon. But still, he's a much better goaltender at the moment than Sorquist is. So I don't feel like, yeah, this isn't enough. We need to give them something else. I'll give him a 4th, I guess. Yeah, I'll give him a 4th. And then, in fact, can they retain salary? Probably not. Well, they can retain salary, but they're just a lot less likely to accept it. Yeah, that makes sense. So if I retain salary, what would I have to give him? Like maybe a 2nd? No, would I have to go 1st? I'd have to go more than a 1st. I'd have to go a 1st and another pick. You know what? Retained salary doesn't really matter much to me, especially since it's just a 1-year deal. I mean, sure, it does maybe hinder our ability to trade at the trade deadline. In fact, what's our cap at right now? I mean, it would be we'd be right up against the ceiling, but I think we could make it work. Maybe if I just retain like 10%, they'll still accept it. Of course, we're gonna add the 4th on there. What if I take them to like 20 or 30 even? Okay, I could go to 30. How far can I take this? They don't like 40. They'll do 35 though. Okay, so Sorquist and a 4th for Spencer Knight at 35% of his salary retained. That's not bad. That is not bad. I think I'll do that. I mean, you're getting a solid veteran goaltender for 1 year who can provide some backup for Jeremy Debut when necessary, and it seems like it's going to be necessary this season. And in exchange, you're giving up a struggling Sorquist and a 4th round pick. You know, I'll give him a 3rd just because the 4th seems a little underwhelming for someone like Spencer Knight and how well he's doing so far. So we'll go Sorquist and a 3rd for Knight at 35% of his salary retained. That sounds pretty realistic to me. So offer trade, and let's see if it goes through. And look at that, Matthew Coronado has reached 500 assists on his NHL career. Good job. There it is. The Florida Panthers have accepted our offer for Spencer Knight. So going the other way will be Sorquist and the 3rd round pick. We'll be getting Spencer Knight in return with 35% of his salary retained. Complete trade. There it is. So a pretty solid trade if I do say so myself. And let's hope that Spencer Knight can help get things back on track here. And of course, coach is starting to boo first, which I guess, you know, that's good. Try to get him back into the swing of things. But obviously I would like for Knight to play his fair share of games as well. Just given that I traded a 3rd round pick for him. I think with that, we'll see what January has to bring for us, and we'll stop at either February or at the trade deadline. Oh man, another injury. Hare with the 2 to 3 month injury to his knee. I mean, he wasn't doing too well, but still, that's some valuable depth that's gone down on the injury list. All right, so I have to go out to free agency actually to go sign a defenseman because we're getting to the point where we actually do have too many injuries on our defensive core at the moment, and I would rather not call up a 1-star player. So I think for the time being, I'll sign Brady Ness. He's 6'5", got a good personality, and I think he'd be a solid 7th defenseman. I prefer not the 2 years though. Just give me 1 year. Get $2 million for 1 year. All right, Agumanov is finally back. Let's get him on the active roster. And who's coming out? I think that might have to be Gu Yao. We got a 54 defensive grade, 54 offensive, only 9 points so far. Yeah, I think I'm setting Yao down. Or I don't know, he might get claimed. It'd be better to just trade him. I'll just shop him, see what I can get. Not much, unfortunately. 31-year-old defenseman in Murray and a 31-year-old center in Young. Whatever, I'll just send him down and hope he clears. I'm not getting much back for him. Yeah, I think he cleared. Yes, he did. He's down there in the AHL, and I didn't get any notifications, so good to know. And Braden Creech is finally back as well. All right, we're starting to get our players back. Now, who goes down? I think it's got to be Shulhan. I mean, he's been pretty decent defensively, but he doesn't really have as much of an impact as guys like Coronado or Fortman. So yeah, Shulhan's going down. He is going to have to go on waivers. Oh boy, that's not promising. Multiple parties interested. I mean, I don't know if multiple parties were interested there because he did clear. So clearly not interested enough. But oh man, poor Gu Yao. He gets sent down to the AHL and gets hurt for 3 months. That's rough. Oh no, long-term injury to Brody Meehan. fractured hand for 1 to 2 months. So add that on to Pare on our long-term injury list. All right, we are on March 1st. We are 34, 22, and 3. Much better than when we last checked. We're currently third in the division, and we're pretty comfortable in that spot as well. We have a 9-point lead on Vancouver and a pretty significant lead on Vegas as well, who's looking to push into the wild cards. So as long as we can keep up this pace, we should be in the playoffs, no problem. Let's check out the player stats. We got Elfring with 64 points, continues to have a great season offensively, 37 goals and 27 assists in just 57 games played. Pegamagabo with 45, Jacques with 44, Coronado with 38, 35 for Antolovsky, 34 for Wright, 31 for Grieve and Glockner, 29 for Fortman, 27 for Muse, 24 for Hedqvist, 22 for Henderson, 21 for Creech. So if he were to play a full season, then he would probably be somewhere around where Elfring is right now in terms of production. Then you got Sheets and Mooney with 19 points, Hinton with 17, Amirkanov and Fast with 6, and Agumanov and Clark with 5. And now let's check in goal. Here's the moment of truth. All right, that is what you like to see. So in 23 games played, Deboo's back up to a 900. So that's okay, I suppose. It's better than how he started. But Spencer Knight, the new acquisition in goal, in 16 games played for us, has a 932 save percentage. That is what I call a fantastic trade. So Spencer Knight at the moment really carrying our goaltending situation. Obviously, we're not going to be able to rely on him for too long, given that he's 36, but this was a fantastic move for the success of the Calgary Flames this year. So it's good to see him doing his job. As for Deboo, really hope he could get it back together, because we've seen when he's good, he's very good. But unfortunately, just having a bit of a down year this year. Hopefully it does not continue into next year, or even the playoffs for that matter. I mean, for the time being, it's got to be Spencer Knight going into the playoffs, though. There's no doubt about that. At least for this year, got to be him. I mean, Deboo, I respect what he did with the 2 Stanley Cups that he won us in the past, but for right now, Spencer Knight's just a much better goaltender, so we got to roll with him. Glockner with a 92 defensive grade. Holy moly. Jacques with a 90. Pegamagabo with an 87. Elfring with an 82. Got a really solid defensive team here, on top of the offense that we've been producing, particularly with Elfring. So yeah, this team looks like it's going pretty well right now. Let's check out the team stats. Goals for per game, we are 5th in the league with a 3.59. Goals against per game, we are 8th in the league with a 2.81. And the power play, we are, oh dear, yeah, as usual, 16.3. We are 25th in the league for the power play. Yeah, that's about par for the course with this GM mode, unfortunately. But the penalty kill, we are at an 81.6, which is 12th in the league. So not bad there. Could be better, but I'll take it. Now, do we have problems? Yeah, sure. We're not by any means a perfect team, but I don't think that we're having any issues right now that would justify a trade. I think we can honestly keep this roster going into the postseason, and there's really not much else to be done. I mean, I suppose I should do due diligence and take a look at the trade block and see what's out there, but I'm not anticipating any trades here. Yeah, not really much that impresses me enough to consider it an upgrade, so I think we just roll with this roster and see what they're capable of in the postseason. Because overall, I don't really have anyone who I could complain about defensively even. And the lowest defensive grade is Hedqvist with a 57, and even that's not terrible because he's producing at a pretty decent rate, 24 points in 44 games played. And the guys with low offensive grades, they have good defensive grades, so I'm not about to give them up either. So I just think, assuming this team can continue the performances that they're doing right now in the playoffs, then we really should have no reason to worry. So I think we could just go on here. And Elfring, so far at least, living up to that $13.75 million contract. And of course, we know what he's capable of in the playoffs, so I expect no different there. So with that being said, let's get right to the playoffs. Actually, before we do that, I figured we should address the upcoming free agency situation. Among the big names, we have Sheets, Muse, Knight, Mooney, and Coronado. I don't know about Coronado just because he's 35. His production's been good this year. It's 38 points in 47 games played. So I could see possibly bringing him back, especially if he does well in the playoffs. But if the cap crunch comes down to it, then he might be one of the first ones released. Same goes for Spencer Knight, just due to his age. The future for him is unknown, so I'm not going to be re-signing him right now. But again, if he does well in the playoffs, then I certainly would not be opposed to offering him another contract. Then you have Mooney, great defensively, 25 years of age. I think I might actually see what he wants right now. Only 2.1? Yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that right now, in fact. I'll start at 1.85 for 3 years. All right, how about 1.9? All right, he's not budging too much here. I'll try 1.95. Yeah, he really wants his money. He's not budging too much here. We're only down to 2.08. All right, we may as well meet at 2 mil for 3 years. What does he think of this? Good. And Henry Muse, he's making 6.5 currently, 31 years of age. What does he want? Whew. I mean, that's only 1 year, but 10 mil for Henry Muse? I don't know. I mean, he's a key part of our team, so I'm not going to flip him at the deadline, that's for sure, especially now we're in the middle of a season where we're contending, right? But what to do about him. As much as I like Henry Muse, I just can't offer this right now. I mean, he's a great player, but worth 10 mil? I don't know. As for Sheets, what does he want? 6.4 for 3 years? Yeah, here's the thing. If we want to renew Sheets plus Mooney, and then if we get Knight and Coronado back on board, then we're probably not going to have enough money for Muse. I think one of these three has to go. Muse, Knight, or Coronado. But Sheets is 26, solid defensively, puts up a decent amount of points, so I think I will re-sign Sheets right now. I'll start at 5.8 for 3 years. Okay, he's coming down a little bit. 5.9? No. 6 mil? There it is. All right. I would say that's a fair contract for Jason Sheets. But once again, I think I'm going to wait on Muse, Knight, and Coronado. Just wait to see how things play out. But with that being done, I think we can now finally advance into the playoffs. Oh boy, Mooney with a long-term injury, it looks like. All right, that's not too bad. Only 1 to 2 weeks, so he'll be back before the playoffs, but still gonna miss him for the time that he's out. Oh, by the way, Doug Elfring currently sits 5th in the league in scoring and 2nd in the league in goals. So I don't know if that's just for possibly a lack of talent around the league now, with many of the players that we know in real life having retired. I'm pretty sure, has McDavid retired yet? No, McDavid's still playing. He's 41 though, so I would imagine it's close. All right, Mien is back, so we can get him on the roster. And oh man, okay, so he's not out too terribly long, just day to day, but always scares me a little bit when I see that injury on Elfring. Oh, there you go, another milestone for Matthew Coronado, 1,000 games played in the NHL. I imagine all with Calgary as well. Yep, all with Calgary. And we have finished the season 48, 30, and 4, good enough for 100 points, and second in the Pacific Division. We have clinched the playoffs, of course. And it appears there was only one 100-point scorer this year. In Rousa, everyone else had 94 or less. And there was only 8 point per game players as well, Elfring being one of them with 84. And only one 50-goal scorer in Doug Elfring. So there you go, Doug Elfring, not only defensive extraordinaire, but now 50-goal scorer in the NHL. That's quite nice. So let's check out the player stats for the season. You have Doug Elfring with 84 points in 77 games played, and Pegamagabo, the next guy down, with 59. That is a 25-point difference, I believe, between Elfring and Pegamagabo in second. And then Jacques also has 59. Then you have Mien with 53, 48 for Antolovsky, 46 for Wright, 45 for Coronado, 42 for Glockner, 40 for Muse, 37 for Creech, 36 for Fortman, 34 for Grieve and Henderson, 31 for Hedquist, 25 for Sheets, 22 for Mooney, 21 for Hinton, 14 for Agumanov, 11 for Fast, 10 for Clark, and 8 for Amirkanov. And in goal, I believe it has only been Spencer Knight as of late, as Debut, I believe, has only played a few games since we last checked. Yeah, he's played against Vegas and then Nashville on March 28th. Before that, his last game was January 28th. He went a whole 2 months without playing. Wow. Spencer Knight really carried the load there in the later half of the season. And he finishes with your Calgary Flames in 37 games played with a 918 save percentage. So not as good as what we saw before out of him. So he definitely slowed down a bit there, but definitely still better than what Mr. Debut did this year. So safe to say we will be rolling with him in the playoffs, or at least I hope we will. Zach Fitzgerald, please. That would be ideal. And checking out the team stats now, goals for per game, we are 6th in the league with a 3.48, and goals against per game, we are 5th in the league with a 2.76. Power play, we are near the bottom of the league as expected, at a 16.9, and the penalty kill, we are 7th in the league with an 83.1. Honestly, that was kind of expected. Doug Elfring up for the Hart this year. Just given the difference in first and second for total points on the team, that honestly doesn't surprise me. The fact that Elfring is up for the Hart this year. along with Rausa and Isaacson. So Doug Elfring not up for the Selke this year, but he is also up for the Ted Lindsay, along with, of course, Rausa and Isaacson. So those three up for not only Hart, but the Ted Lindsay as well. And you have the Jack Adams. We are not on there either. So we're not up for too many awards this year, but I don't really care about that as long as we win the Stanley Cup. So with that, let's see what we're facing. In the first round of the playoffs, we'll be facing the 45, 29, and 8 Los Angeles Kings.